And so how do we do that? Or how do I do that? So we use something called the TRAP framework, right? So the TRAP framework, right? The word TRAP stands for trap traders being rejected, absorbed, and then we see a shift in the pressure. Just remember the TRAP framework. Just remember the word trap. Because inside this key level, where I've circled, right, what do you see? Aggressive sellers getting absorbed. And so what I mean by the word absorbed specifically is that they were present, right? It's very obvious. We can see buyers over here, huge amounts of buyers. Price broke to the downside. Even here we see break. Price comes into the zone. Look at that little blue delta there, 113 for 231. We see a 0 over here as well. So hopefully you can see how price and proof come together. So we're using the real-time reading recipe. So we're reading price action. We're not trying to guess it. We're reading the bid and ask. We're evaluating the delta. We're assessing the aggression. We're detecting zeros. We're going through the entire process at our key level. So we've gone through positioning. We've now read price, and now we're at proof. And we're using our TRAP framework to understand who's in control. So hopefully you can see just by going through this is who's being rejected, who's being absorbed, and where is there a shift in the pressure, right? There's a shift in the pressure towards the downside, right? Absorption of buyers, they're getting rejected, they're getting trapped. So just remember the word trap moving forward. Right, and now my entry model. And there's a reason why the entry model came at the end of this video, because it's at the end of the process, right? The premium footprint execution process. The only way you can get a highly accurate and precise entry is by making sure you follow the first 3 processes. And so if you're looking to become a full-time trader, get funded, 100,000 in funded, etc., etc., the mentality of a funded or just a general consistent trader must be process driven, not outcome entry model winning driven, right? That doesn't work, right? So the biggest problem I see is that traders look for a precise entry without having any kind of positioning, reader price, and understanding of price. And so the problem with that is that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You end up going through this weird fatigue cycle, right? Where some trades work, some trades don't, and you go through this up and down motion. The reason that up and down motion exists isn't because you're necessarily a bad trader, it's because you have no framework to build your entries from. And so by following the entire premium footprint execution process, your entries can become a lot sharper. And I want you to remember the word BOLT. So what does BOLT stand for? So BOLT stands for break, optimal retest, liquidity absorption, and then I pull the trigger. Right, so this is the entire premium footprint execution process, right? So I look for a break, I then look for an optimal retest, I then look for a liquidity absorption, and then I pull the trigger. And that is how I find precise entries. Again, 2 things on this. First of all, if your levels are off, it's not going to work. If you're not using order flow, it's not going to work. And even in the precision entry process, the BOLT breakout blueprint, I also use order flow. And I'm going to break down a couple of chart examples quickly just to get my point across. So this is S&P 500 futures, and I'm going to be breaking down Friday's long position, right? So I took a long on Friday. This was roughly around here, only about 1